Alrighty, we're back. Was live earlier. Woohoo. Give me a second real quick. Hold on, just gotta make sure I can share my entire screen. Yep, there it is. Alright, guys. Let's go. I still think that's cool. Wait, that means I can. Okay. I just realized I can stream games from here, but I can't really. Well, that's cool. I don't know why I laugh like that, but. Okay. All right, here we go. I saw this before I went live, and I was like, "What? Like, what is showing up? I'm not signed in, so it's kind of crazy." I don't know what to watch. No, I wasn't even. I was. Okay, we're just gonna.
I was having a regular show. No one got hurt. Everyone had a great time. I go to the airport 2 days later, and cops show up like, "Hey, come here," and put me in handcuffs. And I'm like oblivious. Like, why am I? And I'm like, dude, why am I in handcuffs? You started a riot. And it was so crazy because not only was I shocked, but like when like they're fingerprinting me and asking me questions, the police officers, and they're like, "So what are you in here for?" And I'm like, I started a riot, I guess. And they're looking and they're like, "Wow, that sucks," because we didn't know that was illegal. I was having a regular show. No one got hurt. Everyone had a great time.
Put your fucking hands up. This is wrong.
Oh.
Hello, this is Teen Helpline. What's on your mind today?
Hi,
Hello, this is Teen Helpline.
What's making you feel this way?
Oh my god.
What's making you feel this way?
Looks aren't everything. It's personality
Looks aren't everything. Why does he look like that? I actually don't know.
that counts.
Like, you don't even know if I have a good personality or not.
Well, tell me about yourself. Oh, look at that. You're laughing.
Like you guys do when you make someone feel better.
If I get you to say that really helped, I'll have enough to get a bamboo back scratcher.
Because
Why aren't you saying I really helped you?
then we'd be done talking, and I'm not ready for that.
At school are idiots. Anybody.
The guys at school are idiots. Okay.
This is the most popular 2K My Player of all time. Debuted
Dang.
on the Chris Move YouTube channel on November 15, 2013. Chris made a 6'1", 185-pound point guard.
I do not care.
Style and maxed out wings.
Man trapped on woman's island and forced to make baby.
90. Hello.
First
Hello.
You 6'5" and you can't. You 6'5" and you can't dunk. He's never gonna have ops. He's gonna have what we call hopes. He'll never have bounce. It's not in him. It's not 10 feet. Yes, it is. Bro, you see on a regular net, my hand go right here. Ah! Give me that! That's why you miss. Give me that! That's why you miss. Give me that! That's why you miss.
I said 5K likes and I would.
What if the NBA had a 4-point line? The idea of a 4-point line has bounced around the league for years, but has remained just that, an idea. But what if these ill-advised bombs that pose no real...
We had a 6-hour layover in Rome, which was just enough time to tour the campus.
Am I still?
We skipped the line.
I am still going. Okay. That's good.
Explore over 300,000 travel experiences you'll remember. Do more with
All right.
Say it's me to your old wings and give me a honey lemon pepper wings from Popeyes.
no real advantage actually did. How would a 4-pointer change the game? The way offenses are set up, who would take them, and who would be the best at them? Well, there's really only one way to find out. So I added one.
Yeah, let's go. Yo, what? Why is his arm curved like that? I don't even know.
Today's video is sponsored by DraftKings. My NFL free highlights in $5 bet not yet instant.
Taking a long run and connects from the Laker logo.
You see that? Not the three. What Trae Young did after the three. Not the most conventional celebration, pointing at the spot on the court where he hit a 30-foot bomb. But he's not pointing to just any random spot. He's pointing at the 4-point line. Now, you or I can't see the 4-point line because it's not on this court. But Trae can see it because it's on his court. Years ago, within the Atlanta Hawks practice facility, the organization implemented a 4-point line, 29 feet out from the basket, a little over 5 feet further than the NBA 3.
Wait, hold on. So if they actually added a 4-point line, right? If they actually added the 4-point line, I forgot what I'm trying to say. Never mind.
Trae Young can hit these shots because he practices these shots. And the Hawks aren't the only team that have incorporated a 4-point line into their practices. The Bucks have a 4-point shot in their practice facility, as do the 76ers, the Rockets, and many other teams. Here's Milwaukee's practice court with squares indicating 4-pointers. And here's that exact concept playing out in real time. With the NBA seeing an explosion in 3-pointers over the last decade, I'm not sure if adding a 4-point line would be good for the game. And we may not see a 4-point line in the NBA anytime soon, but we have seen it in other places. The Big Three League, which features mostly former NBA players and overseas pros, doesn't quite have a 4-point line, but they 4-point spot called the Fireball 3, a spot 30 feet away from the rim where shots are worth 4 points. So far this season, the league average from the 4-point shot is 15%. Similar to
15%?
The WNBA has included a similar 4-point spot for the last 2 All-Star games. Same conditions as the Big Three League, but this spot is 28 feet from the basket. In the 2020.
Yep. It's a whole 2 feet. Of course, it's the WNBA. Crazy.
The WNBA All-Star game, out of the total 45 4-pointers attempted, players connected on 12 of them. giving them a 4.
See, because why? Okay. It's less. Okay, because it's less. That's 11. If they put it 2 feet, if we had it 28 feet too, I guarantee you it's going to at least 40%. At least.
Percentage of 26.7%. In the American Basketball Association, any shot past half court is a 4-point shot. So this shot is doable, and it's been included into games to some capacity before. But what if the NBA added a 4-point shot? How far?
Okay, what if? Hear me out. What if the 4-point like spot was just a logo? Like if you shoot it from the logo and you make it, that's 4 points. It's definitely an idea.
What would it be? How would it change the game we know? And who would be the best 4-point shooters on the planet? In 2020, an article published by the Northeastern Sports Analytics Group went into detail about the
I'm not reading
possibility
that.
of a 4-point line, how the shot would change the anatomy of the game, and exactly what it would look like. Within their data, researchers found that in order for the shot to make sense, the distance would have to be just right. The number they came up with, 30 feet. Any
See?
and the shot would be
30 feet. The WNBA only had 28.
too easy. Any further, and the shot wouldn't be worth taking. We've talked about this concept before, how efficient any given shot is and how that leads to the way teams set up their offense, otherwise known as points per shot. In 2023, the expected shot value for every 2-pointer was 1.096 points. The expected shot value for every 3-pointer was 1.083 points, essentially making
Wait, hold on. Why is it saying a shot on 2 outside the 3-point line?
both shots about equally as efficient on average. Now, since 1996, the NBA has been keeping track of shot data, where shots were taken, and the success rates of those shots. And with this data, we can figure out the expected shot value not only by category, but by distance. For example, if the 4-point line were, let's say, 24 feet out, we can sort through every shot taken from 24 feet, find the league-wide average for that shot distance, and then just divide 4 points by that number. The league average field goal percentage from 24 feet out is...
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on right now. Yeah, I have no clue what's happening.
35%, which means if the 4-point line was set at 24 feet, the expected shot value 1.44 points, far more than both 3-pointers and 2-pointers. So we got to move it back further. At 25 feet, the expected shot value would be 1.39 points, which is still far too efficient. Keep moving this theoretical line back, and to match the efficiency of 2s and 3s, the 4-point line was somewhere between 28 and 29 feet away from the basket. But
so having it 30 feet out would makes the most sense. Oh.
A 4-point shootout. We need the shot to present enough risk for players to shoot it only on occasion. So if we move the 4-point line back to 30 feet, the expected shot value plummets all the way down to 0.693 points, making it just feasible enough to make sense, but not too much to be exploited, giving us a definitive distance of 30 feet for our new 4-point shot. So if the NBA decided to implement this 30-foot 4-pointer, who would be the best 4-point shooters in the league? Well, the answer may not be what you think. Now, this is what a 30-foot shot looks like. And for the sake of this experiment, from here on out, these shots are now 4-pointers.
That's just nice.
A distance that is far beyond any valuable shot when they're only worth 3 points. But despite this, players keep taking them. The NBA record for the most theoretical 4-pointers made in a game is a 4-way tie between D'Angelo Russell, Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, and Trae Young, who each made 4-pointers in a single game. 5 shots made in a single game from at least 30 feet out.
See, but he took one less than them. So why is he here when he took one less? Because he still has 5, but he's also shooting. He's oh my gosh, he's also shooting the highest percentage. They're all shooting the season. They're only shooting 62.5%, but he's shooting 71. So
But
does that mean
the
something?
most absurd
Yeah.
display of long bombs in NBA history came from Damian Lillard back in 2020 when he attempted 10 four-pointers in a single game. In total,
Would have been at 40 points. And that was okay. Hold on. If they added a 4-point, could you imagine how much easier breaking the scoring record could be? Like, because they could constantly just take fours, just like 4, 8, like it would just go up. Have to take like a bunch of shots though.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Sorry, guys, that took me for. What is this?
Well, you know how our T-Mobile home internet can stop?
Uh-huh.
Turns out, Wall Street got it. So I fixed it.
So instead of getting us fast, reliable, 24/7, you got us internet that can be blocked by walls.
Yes, but I think I fixed it.
By smashing a hole through our wall.
Well, technically,
Walls.
yeah, right now I want to go inside.
Don't settle for T-Mobile cell phone internet.
Get the natural.
That's why I don't leave the house.
Get faster, more reliable internet speeds with Spectrum.
Dame shot 15 threes, 10 of which were beyond 30 feet out, a feat that would have most players in trade packages the very next day. Ever since the NBA began keeping track of play-by-play data, there have been 51 games where a player has made at least 3 four-pointers. Out of those 51 games, 36 of them came from either Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, or Trae Young. Because even in a league with the best shooters on the planet, these three are among the handful that should even be shooting these shots in the first
Yeah,
place.
for sure.
But how much would line really change the game? Well, it would be impossible to know the ripple effect of such a monumental change.
Right.
But after painstakingly tracking the shot data and results of each and every game last season, I found that there were only 2 games out of the total 1,314 games played where a 4-point line would have the results of the game. That's instances where if the shot...
I think one of them is definitely Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game.
shots made beyond...
Because they didn't even have a 3-pointer back then. I don't think. So, like... Because I'm pretty sure the 3-point line got added in 1983.
feet were counted as 4-pointers instead of 3-pointers, it would have swung the point total enough to turn the loss into a win, and vice versa. That's 2 games.
Hold on. Okay, sorry. Okay. What? I've seen this video. I see nobody but you. Hold on.
So the other day, I made a video banning 3-pointers from NBA history, and the outcome was very interesting. But then you geniuses had an idea. What if I banned 2-point shots from NBA history and forced players to only shoot threes? Well, that's what we're doing in this video, starting all the way from 1983. Okay, so as you can tell from the first 2 games of this season, I was just testing it to see if it works, and it works to perfection. So, for example, in this game, this guy shot 5 for 17, and he shot 14 three-pointers, and then he made 5 free throws. So basically, very, very minimum chances that he's going to shoot a layup or a mid-range shot is basically all three-pointers. As you can tell, there was 56 three-pointers attempted in that game. So rewriting NBA history, and we're going to see what will happen if we only shot threes. Now, the way is actually very simple. I went into the simulation setting, and all the way down here when it comes to the shot types, I made dunk, layup, shot close, shot medium, all 0, and had it 100 for shot 3. And then for shot percentages, same thing. If they do end up taking those shots, it's going to miss. If they shoot it.
Your favorite sliders are back at Frisch's.
I see nobody but you. Wait, hold on.
So here's Victor Wembanyama in his prime, and here's the player we're building to beat.
Huh?
Let's see how this. So here's Victor Wembanyama in his prime, and here's the player we're building to beat Wemby. Let's see how this first game goes. Just gonna put this here, subscribe to the channel because I want more subscribers. Not really an actual reason, but you know, take it whatever you want. Okay, let's go. These games are win by 2, first to 5, or first to 7 without win by. Yeah, I'm not really seeing much you can do here. Step back midi, not a bad try. I mean, it's kind of hitting the rim is.
I'm not watching this guy. Simply put. Simply put. You. I see nobody but you. You.
That no matter what you're thinking about, who you're thinking about, they will guess it. I mean, after a series of questions, as long as you being truthful to him, he can guess what you're thinking about. Obviously, we got to put our own spin on it, and we're doing NBA players, and we're trying to stump Akinator with an NBA player. This is suggested by someone that's been using the link in the description, where I have a poll where you can suggest videos. They didn't leave their name, but I appreciate you. We back with some Akinator guesswork. 556 million games have been played year to date. I wonder what his win percentage is. It would be skewed because some people go in there and just start lying to him. But let's start off with an easy one. We're talking Giannis Antetokounmpo. I guess he's a character. The worst thing about this site though is all the ads that you're gonna get. I cannot control it. A Home Alone ad? Like, what is that for? Home Alone came out in the 90s. Or this is literally like a Watch Mojo YouTube video playing during my YouTube video that I'm filming. Stop that. Is your character from a Japanese anime? No. Is your character real? This is where we start to get it. Let's see how many questions don't take him. Is your character sing on stage? I don't
sing on stage.
I don't know what he's doing this but something tells me that that the world would know if Giannis was out there on Broadway or something. Is your character an actor? I think the answer is no. Because I mean, has Giannis been in a film about his life, but has he actually been in the film? I'm gonna say straight up no. Because I think that's going to mess
hold on.
Perspective. Is your
what if he gets like me or something? That'd be crazy. That's the only thing that I need up.
In an entire season.
Oh, I found it. I got no clue what just happened. Like,
have been 20 instances where the outcome of a game would have been altered as a direct result of a 4-pointer. Games where
43 feet out from Chauncey Billups.
If the shot was a 4-pointer, it would have
62.
So
62 feet. Hold on, sorry. I think that's the longest one. 62 feet.
with everything else remaining the same, it's clear giving an extra point for these bombs wouldn't actually change a whole lot. At least not for those who don't take them. But what about the players who do? Last season alone, across the NBA, there were 2,192 shots taken from at least 30 feet out.
2,000,
but it only made up about 2.6.
I think. Hold on. Actually, no. I'm gonna keep playing this.
Percent of all shots taken beyond the 3-point line last season. And of all these now 4-pointers, the league-wide average field goal percentage was just 17.3%. This is a difficult shot. Luka Doncic shot 34 shots from at least 30 feet out last season. He made just 5 of them. Anthony Edwards shot 13, and he made just 1, which would give him a 4-point field goal percentage of 7%.
7.7% is actually surprising. Ah! It's loud. I'm watching it on my phone right now, too. Yeah, I'm turning this down. Okay. So wait, so hold on. If I go here, does it say? I see nobody but you. I can type in chat as myself from my phone. I'm a genius. Okay, I'm done with myself. Okay, let's get back.
But not all players are abysmal from this distance. Last season, Jordan Poole had 72 4-pointers and knocked down 32% of them.
What? Jordan Poole. Chat, that's how.
4-point range as John Morant, De'Aaron Fox, and DeMar DeRozan are from 3-point range. And if that doesn't rattle your brain, and Darius Garland attempted 27 4-pointers last season and knocked down 11 of them, giving him an absurd 4-point shooting percentage of 41%.
40%.
It's exactly the same as his 3-point percentage. But these numbers are from if we take a look at tracking data dating back to 1996, here's a chart of the players who got them.
It's only a kid.
Okay, but Jordan Poole shooting like Jordan Poole shooting 30% is insane.
Winners throughout the last 27 seasons. And very quickly, you can see just how uncommon shots from this 4-point distance are. Devin Booker is 42nd all-time.
42nd all-time. Kobe Bryant is 7th all-time. And it's 10%. Okay, but
shots attempted from at least 30 feet, and he's only taken 109 in his entire career. Carmelo Anthony was a brick from this range. There's Darius Garland. He's a wizard from 30 feet out. Keep going up the chart.
Darius Garland having 37.5% is not that surprising. Because those smaller guards are like crazy from range. So I'm not at this point.
Being a good 3-point shooter doesn't necessarily make a player a good 4-point shooter. Ray Allen shot 157 4-pointers throughout his career and only hit 5.7% of them. Whereas Luka Doncic, a notoriously underwhelming 3-point shooter, shoots 4-pointers well above league average. And as we approach the top
Luka
of this
Doncic,
range,
okay,
attempts from this range begin to increase. And as we approach underwhelming,
I feel like the only way Luka is gonna be able to hit is like in clutch situations. Like 22.6% is good. was fast.
feet, and he's only taken 109 in his entire career.
Wait, hold on. Who?
Was a break from this.
Oh, yeah. 4.2 is crazy.
Range. There's Darius Garland. He's a wizard from 30 feet out. Keep going up the chart, and one thing.
Darius Garland. Oh yeah. Okay, how if Darius Garland is shooting 37.5% in 32nd compared to Kobe, who is 7th place and only shooting 8.9%. Yeah, it's because they took less shots probably. But Luka took 195 and he took 120 and he's lower. Never mind.
That jumps out is that being a good 3-point shooter doesn't necessarily make a player a good 4-point shooter. Ray Allen shot 157 4-pointers throughout his career and only hit 5.7% of them, whereas Luka Doncic, a notoriously underwhelming 3-point shooter, shoots 4-pointers well above league average. And as we approach the top of this list, the total shot attempts from this range begin to increase almost exponentially. LeBron has attempted 304 4-pointers in his 20 years.
He's
career.
fourth.
Trae Young has attempted.
Trae Young's third. Okay. Who's first?
In just 5 seasons.
All right.
But keep going.
It's either Dame or Steph.
Your face is topping the all-time 4-point leaderboard.
Yup.
And Stephen Curry.
Yup. I knew it. I'm a genius.
Same amount of 4-pointers throughout their careers. Both of them on relatively excellent field goal percentage. But this is just the total amount of 4-pointers players have attempted throughout their career. What might be more revealing is the rate at which players shoot these long balls. And if we take a look at 4-pointers attempted per season, there's one player throughout NBA history who is miles above everyone else.
Miles.
It isn't a historically great scorer like James Harden or Kobe Bryant. It isn't a prolific sharpshooter like Reggie Miller or Klay Thompson. If the 4-point line existed, the player
watch it be like Jordan Poole or something.
Who would
something absolutely outrageous. Just watch. Absolutely insane.
Of all time is Trae Young.
It's actually not that crazy.
100 4-pointers per season throughout his career. There isn't a single player within Trae Young's galaxy. And the further we dive into the numbers, the more obvious this becomes. With a career shooting percentage of 33% on shots at least 30 feet out, if the line existed, Trae Young would have an expected shot value of 1.3 points off of 4-pointers.
1.33?
The most valuable shot in basketball outside of uncontested layups. For perspective, with a 4-point line, the best big men in the NBA have a lower points per shot value on contested layups than Trae Young does from 30 feet out, which would make a 30-plus foot bomb by Trae Young more efficient than a defended layup from the reigning MVP. You understand?
That's insane.
And how ridiculous that is. And this gap in value only gets larger as we go further.
Wait, but hold on. Why is it the... Oh, no. It's more. Never mind.
From the basket.
I'm a guy who lost a bet and my dignity. As if watching my team lose wasn't punishment enough.
As if watching my team lose wasn't horrible enough. Womp womp.
I want some Takis. You've come for Takis Buckin Ranch.
Sweet. Kevin Durant.
Ranch Takis would be nasty. I just gotta say that right now.
Mid-range juggernaut. His points per shot on mid-range jumpers is 1.1 points. Back up to the... And if you take the most accurate volume 3-point shooter in the league, Tyrese Maxey, his 3-pointers are still less valuable than Trae Young's 30-foot 4-pointers. Stephen Curry is the undisputed king of the 3-ball. He single-handedly revolutionized the game with his range. And yet, somehow, Trae Young has already made more career 4-pointers, or shots at least 30 feet out, than Stephen Curry has. It's probably a good thing that this shot doesn't exist in the NBA. But if it did, Trae Young would be the best to ever do it. Here is a visual of each sector on the floor by distance. And here are some of the most prolific scorers from each of those sectors, along with their career points per shot from that distance. From short range, you've got dominant and efficient bigs, players who control the paint. But these are some of the most highly contested shots in basketball. So take a step back to the mid-range, and you'll see, for the most part, efficiency actually remains consistent with players like Kawhi, Dirk, and CP3. Keep going back, and you'll find the long two-point snipers. Despite this being the least efficient shot in basketball, players like Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving have kept this shot alive and well. Take it one step from the three-point line, makes three-pointers in the right hands. One shots in the game, with Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Ray Allen at least 1.2 points per shot from this distance. Since 1996, these are the shots you want, who you want taking them, and how much they're worth. And then there's Trae Young, who, in a league where a 30-foot existed, would possess the most valuable shot in basketball, despite taking it from the logo.
That's crazy.
What do you call a player who is?
We're definitely watching this.
Who's averaging 34, 9, and 10 a game on 62% true shooting? The face of the NBA, the best basketball player in the world. How about the player who is fourth on NBA's MVP leaderboard at the moment? 10 years ago, these numbers would have had a player in conversations as the greatest basketball player ever, let alone the MVP for a season. But now this stat line hardly even earns you a shot to become the league's most valuable player. Lately, I've been paying close attention to how the MVP race is playing out this season, and it's going about how you would expect. The season started out with Jokic leading the race, coming off a very controversial decision last season. Then Joel Embiid morphed into a basketball god for 2 months and buried all hopes of anyone else winning the award. And then he got hurt, and Jokic jumped back out in front and has held the top spot ever since, with currently SGA in second and Giannis in third. But as I was going over the timeline of the race this season,
how is Giannis in third? That's insane to me.
One thing jumped out at me. Why is Luka Doncic so low? I'm going back.
That too?
I can looking at some of his performances and his numbers from this season, and yep, they're still completely unreal. So why is he all the way in fourth place at the moment? Have voters gone on a Luka strike? They all just collectively decided they're not going to vote for him? I don't know, maybe his play style is just too polarizing to reward. His game right now is often compared to prime James Harden, and we all know how that turned out. But even Harden and all...
James Harden would never win an NBA championship. His playoff choke cost him major.
All of his antics still won an MVP award. On the NBA's last weekly recap of the race, it seems they've taken a strong stance on his chances of winning the award up to this point. Sorry, Mavs fans, but the standings matter. We understand he scored 25 plus points in 9 straight games. But flashy highlights and massive numbers aside, Doncic needs to lift Dallas out of play-in tournament territory to climb near the top of this list. But that isn't true, is it? In fact, I know it's not, because other players have won just as many games as Luka is winning this season, with worse numbers and less individual dominance, and they still went on to win the MVP. Luka Doncic is being held to a higher standard than anyone else right now. And I think we might be looking at the MVP award and how we value players all wrong. Today's video is sponsored by DraftKings. That's immediately leapfrogged all the assumptions we had about his game and his potential. By his second season, his 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists a game earned him first-team All-NBA and a 4th place finish in the MVP voting at just 21 years old. By the end of his second season, the general perception was that this guy was the future of the NBA. An MVP award was inevitable, and it would happen sooner than later. But Luka is now in his 6th season in the league, and despite getting better nearly every single season, his place on the MVP leaderboard has only fallen virtually every season.
I thought Jordan only averaged 30 in his prime. Apparently not.
Voters seeming to become less and less interested in this Luka magic. how did Luka's best case for the most valuable player in the NBA come in just his second season and has only gone downhill since? Are we looking at the MVP award all wrong? Is it even possible for someone to be the most valuable player in the NBA while not elevating their team to a title contender? A question.
All my life.
Not applying to just Luka, but to any player in general. Where exactly is the balance between individual dominance and team success when evaluating the top talents in the NBA? If the Nuggets ran into some injuries and had a tough stretch of games and somehow fell to the 7th seed, would we be willing to admit that Nikola Jokic is still the best and most valuable player in the league despite the lack of team success? Is it possible to get voter fatigue or even player fatigue before a player has even won anything? Here's a number for you, 41.8. This
Points
is the
per
number
game?
you get if you combine the average points, rebounds, and assists per game of every MVP winner over the last 30 years. This season, Luka is averaging 53.2 combined points, rebounds, and assists, the highest combined total since Kareem over 50 years ago in 1972. And putting up numbers like this usually results in winning games and winning an MVP. Most of the players near the top of this list have earned the award for their efforts. Kareem missed out on the award in 1973, but he already won back-to-back MVPs in the previous 2 seasons. James Harden came in second in 2019, but he already won the award in the previous season as well. Luka, on the other hand, seems to be suffering from a rare case of voter fatigue before winning any awards. Raising the bar to first team All-NBA in just your sophomore season means every year after that must be even better if you really want to captivate an audience. And Luka has gotten better every single season. So maybe he's just not winning enough games. The unwritten rule about the MVP award has always been that you not only need to be great, but your team needs to be great. But this isn't always the case. In fact, recently, it's hardly the case, and voters have not shied away from rewarding exceptional seasons, even if it didn't result in overall team success. In 1987, after just over 2 seasons in the league, Michael Jordan finished second in MVP voting.
Oh, he averaged 37.
And vets of the 80s, despite closing the season with a record below 500 and finishing the season on a stretch of 15 losses in 23 games.
15 out of 23 is bad. Like, that's bad.
He was young, he was unproven, and yet voters were still so enamored by his individual dominance that they just looked past the lack of team success. One argument you can make for this season is the fact that it happened nearly 40 years ago in a league where numbers like this were unheard of. But a similar case of crazy numbers and individual performance outweighing overall team performance just happened again a couple seasons ago. In 2022, Nikola Jokic won the league MVP after finishing the season with just 48 wins and the 6th seed in the West. His numbers were incredible and his advanced metrics were even better. In fact, he was so good that the lackluster 48-win total was a bit of an afterthought for many voters. The only thing is, this season, the Mavericks are on pace to winning 48 games as well. And as loaded as Jokic's stat line was in that 2022 MVP campaign, Luka's numbers are just about as good this season. So how does one of these seasons earn a player his second consecutive MVP and the other hardly even earn a player a spot on the MVP leaderboard? But I think the most glaring case of a player winning over voters with a historic individual season was back in 2017, when Russell Westbrook lit the whole league on fire for 81 games and averaged a 30-point triple-double for an entire season. This was just 7 years ago, and it's already easy to forget just how inconceivable this was at the time. There is not a person on earth who thought a player could average a triple-double for an entire season. So when Westbrook pulled it off, the MVP award had his name on it, and rightfully so. But the Thunder finished with the 6th seed and just 47 wins. In fact, James Harden and Kawhi Leonard both had strong cases to be the most valuable player in the league that season. So again, what has changed between then and now? How did we go from being so captivated with a stat line like this to just casually brushing aside a similar season in just 7 years? But Westbrook's triple-double season in 2017 didn't just shatter our ideas of what were possible from an individual player. His season completely altered the way MVP voting works altogether. Up until Westbrook's 2017 season, the MVP award was virtually the best player on the best team award. If your team wasn't the first seed or on occasion the second seed going into the playoffs, your chances of winning the award were almost non-existent. From 1988 to 2016, 23 of 29 regular season MVPs went to players who led their team to the best record in their conference. 5 of the 29 MVPs went to players who earned the second seed, and only 1 went to a player who didn't lead their team to a top 2 seed. But with Westbrook's MVP in 2017, voters of the award and fans in general almost recalibrated the way they approached the discussion of who the most valuable player in the league can be and what is required of them. Because 4 of the last 7 MVPs finished the season with the 3rd seed or lower. This season, Jokic is favored to win the award, and the Nuggets are on pace to finishing the season with the 3rd seed as well. Something that only occurred once in 37 seasons and required the best player of all time to put up the best individual season of his career is about to happen for the 5th time in just 8 years. It's almost as if overnight we all realized that winning the most games is not the end-all be-all to what makes a player the most valuable. 10 years ago, an NBA fan posted this on Reddit, and reading it is almost like jumping into a time machine and traveling into the past. He goes on to list the last 30 MVP winners and the seed they earned going into the playoffs, recognizing the correlation between winning the most games and winning the MVP. And he posted this with a note at the end that tells you everything you need to know about how the award worked just 10 years ago. I put this on here so people hopefully stop making unlikely MVP predictions. No, Anthony Davis is not going to lead the Pelicans to the 5th seed and win MVP. And the comments on this thread are just as insightful as the post itself. So is it really an MVP award? In theory, yes, but maybe it's more of a best player on the best team. Players do not win MVPs getting 6 seeds, overwhelming majority of the time, because this is a superstar league and superstars get top seeds. And this fan is right, or at least he was 10 years ago. So why did we make exceptions for other players and continue to do so, but we hold Luka to such a strict standard? If the Mavs went on a nice stretch of wins to close out the season and finished with, let's say, 53 wins instead of 48, finished with the 4th seed instead of the 6th, would that really help Luka's case? The Mavs could have an easy schedule to close out the season. Kyrie could go on a tear. The team could get into a rhythm and earn a higher seed, and Luka could be playing at the same level he did all season. But since they're winning more games, none of which had anything to do with Luka playing better, he would miraculously have a better case for the MVP. I know this is how it works. This is the nature of this award. But it's still a bit odd that there is so much weight put into some factors when considering who the most valuable player in the league is. And the season Luka is having in particular is shining a massive light on this irrational way of going about this. Is Jason more valuable than Luka this season? You could make the argument, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who would.
I'm going to answer that question. No. Jason Tatum is not more valuable. No, he's not. It looks like it right now. It definitely looks like it because he's winning more games. But it used to be, I think. Let's look it up. Let's look at this. Okay. MVP caliber season. Over his last, who even is this? NBA. This is not helping. Never mind.
Including the NBA's MVP leaderboard. And yet, Luka has been more...
Oh. So you think you know Wix. Do you really? First up, we've got Shake video masks.
More valuable this season.
The only two things that he had better is BPG and wins per game.
According to virtually every single metric other than
So you think you know Wicks, but do you?
5 games this season, and in those games, the Celtics have outscored their opponents by 77 points. This season, Luka has missed 8 games, and in those games, the Mavericks have been outscored by 47 points. When Jason Tatum isn't on the court, the Celtics are plus 10.1 points per 100 possessions this season.
Wait, so hold on. Basically, they're better with him off the court. They're better with Jason Tatum off the court, is what I think he's saying here. So, if Jason Tatum is only better at 2 things than Luka, and his team is So anyways, as I was saying, Luka's better.
Luka isn't on the court. The Mavericks are minus 2.8 points per 100 possessions this season. When Tatum isn't on the court, the Celtics are still really good. When Luka isn't on the court, the Mavericks are terrible. To look at how many wins a team has as the driving factor for the MVP race neglects how teams even got those wins and how much the best player on that team is contributing to those wins. Now, this season might actually be a case of the league getting a whole lot better, or maybe just the stats getting better, rather than voters and fans appreciating different aspects of the game and its players than they did in the past. The threshold for what it takes to make, let's say, an all-NBA team earn the label of superstar and win the league's MVP has been raised so high that a player could have a one-of-one, unprecedented season and not even get a mention as one of the league's best players. A great case of this is Domantas Sabonis, who is averaging 20 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists
13.
a game right now.
The only other player to do this is Wilt Chamberlain in 1968.
And he wasn't even selected as an all-star this season. These are not empty stats. He's not a product of the system he plays in. He is a certified star. But since there's a guy in the league who can do all of this and more, he ends up being unjustly labeled as the watered-down version of Nikola Jokic. It feels a bit surreal that we live in a time where a player like Luka Doncic exists with numbers like these, and the MVP award isn't already boxed up and on the way to his house as we speak. And this realization is less about Luka and more about the big picture of the league right now. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around how much things have changed, and even harder to grasp how quickly they have changed. How can he be this good and still be trailing behind multiple other players? If it wasn't for Embiid getting hurt, Luka could very well not even be within the top 5 on the MVP leaderboard, while averaging nearly a 34-point triple-double and being on pace for 48 wins. Which begs the question, what would a player in Luka's position need to do to win the MVP? With the 6th seed, an underwhelming supporting cast, and a handful of generational superstars to contend with, what would be the equivalent to the 2017 Westbrook triple-double season in 2024? Where the numbers are just too absurd to ignore. 38, 10 and 10, maybe 40 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists a night on league high efficiency. It sounds like hyperbole, but it's not. How good do you have to be to win the MVP in today's NBA? When you put the bar as high as Luka did at such a young age, how much higher would you need to go for it to be impossible for fans and voters to ignore your efforts? Or is the MVP award still just the best player on the best team award?
All right, well, that is going to be all for tonight's stream. I'll see you all. I will see everyone in the next one. And goodbye. Bang.